welcome in. We are now 20 teams in on my training camp trip. The 20th team is the Philadelphia Eagles. They had joint practice today with the Cleveland Browns. Got 5 takeaways from Eagles camp. Takeaway number 1, the natural concern with the team coming off a championship is, of course, whether complacency set in. Do you have the disease of me where guys want a bigger piece of the pie than they got in the year that they won the championship? I don't think here in the middle of August that's much of a concern internally for Philadelphia. The reason why is the way that their top line guys operate. Guys like Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata. On the defensive side, Reed Blankenship, Zach Bond. Those guys have really turned the page. And that sounds like a cliche, but the reality is, to the people inside the building, this has felt a lot like last year did. In fact, it's to the point where Nick Sirianni hasn't had to, over the first 3 weeks of training camp, bring up the 2024 championship once. He did address it in the spring, but once summer started, that was behind them, and you would think that that would mean there's going to be a good attitude, a good approach, a good determination to the way that they handle 2025. Takeaway number 2, Jalen Hurts' progress at this point really is granular. The big stuff's taken care of. So he's working on things like quickening his footwork so he can get through his progressions faster, and building a relationship with his new offensive coordinator. And that may be the biggest big picture question on that side of the ball going into 2025. Kevin Patullo is the Eagles' 4th offensive coordinator in as many years. A couple things here should help him. One, he was around for the previous 3. So he saw the way it was done under Shane Steichen, under Brian Johnson, and last year under Kellen Moore. And then the second piece of it, he really was involved in play calling last year. In fact, in some situations, he actually was doing the play calling. He and Kellen Moore shared some of that. And he was integral in meshing what Kellen Moore's system brought to the table with what the Eagles were already doing when Moore got here in 2024. So at least on paper, this looks like it should be a seamless transition with Kevin Patullo finally getting his shot to be the offensive coordinator. Takeaway number 3, if there's one big position battle on the offensive side of the ball, it's probably at guard. And with the loss of Mekhi Becton, there's no question that Tyler Steen has really stepped up and looks like he's ready to go as a third-year guy. And so with one guard locked down, you would think, okay, you're okay now, but Landon Dickerson was hurt, Kenyon Green's been banged up, so depth is going to be important there. Matt Pryor actually could be in a position to start in week 1. So depth is going to be really important at guard. And of course, the competition again to who the next man up would be with Becton out the door. Takeaway number 4, there's much more attrition on defense. They lose 6 key guys from Vic Fangio's first unit as Eagles defensive coordinator. So at every level of the defense, they're going to have to replace some guys. There are 4 in the front 7 that they're going to be looking to replace. So leaning a little bit more on Nolan Smith with Josh Sweat gone, Jalex Hunt, a second-year player who flashed as a rookie. He's going to be moving into a starting role. And then Moro Ojomo is somebody who came up a bunch in discussions on how they're going to replace Milton Williams. So looking at Ojomo, looking at Hunt, guys like that could be key for whether or not Vic Fangio's defense can really build on 2024 because there is going to be some resetting. And then at linebacker, they are a little nicked up. Zach Bond's been hurt. Nakobe Dean's probably going to miss a chunk of the season after going down last year with a torn patellar tendon. So depth is going to be tested. Jihad Campbell is obviously a huge part of what they're going to be doing in that area, and a big plan, a big part of their future. How quickly he can get up to speed is an open question. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. has seen first-team reps in camp as a result of the injuries, so they feel like they're deeper there. Now we'll see what happens when that depth is actually tested. Finally, takeaway number 5, there are questions in the secondary as well. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens at the corner spot opposite Quinyon Mitchell, who's had a fantastic camp and has shown the flexibility to play on the left side and the right side this summer. And then at safety next to Reed Blankenship. At safety, they're going to be relying on the pipeline the way that they are at guard with Steen, or the way they are on the defensive line with Ojomo, or on the edge with Hunt. So a couple of guys who were drafted in the 60s over the last couple of years are going to be in play. One is Sidney Brown, 66th pick in 2024. And then Andrew Makuba from the University of Texas, who was drafted 64th overall in the 2025 draft. Those two guys are battling it out. Tristan McCollum is still hanging on in that competition. No one's really emerged yet, so it's going to be interesting to see the way that plays out. And then at the corner opposite Quinyon Mitchell, who again has had a very, very solid summer, with Cooper DeJean spending most of his time as the nickel. You can look for Adoree Jackson, Jacorian Bennett, who they just traded for last week, and Eli Ricks. One of those three guys probably winds up being the starter opposite Quinyon Mitchell, with Mac McWilliams potentially in the mix too, a 5th-round pick from last April. Appreciate you guys coming out. That gets us to 20 teams. We're headed down to Houston for our 21st and 22nd team. We'll see you guys from there tomorrow.